Hi, I am Dr. Arif Javed, and today I'm going to present in this video how a CSS essay is marked. There are different views, opinions, I would say myths, and a lot of uncorroborated information going on in the CSS circles about how a CSS essay is marked. The FPSC itself is silent on this, and maximum there is the syllabus says 100 marks for the CSS essay, and there is just one slab of 100 which is given, and there is no breakup of these marks or the marking rubric for this essay like normally there is in the universities and in the academia. Due to this uh, uh, lack of information about the essay marking, uh, different interpretations have been different interpretations are found which keep on confusing the aspirants. That is why it is necessary that once and for all the basic foundation of CSS essay marking rubric is brought out so that the students could be clear which areas of the essay have what type of significance in writing and then in assessment. So here in this video, I am going to present the four broad areas with their details, four broad areas of assessment, and then the actual marking, CSS essay marking rubric with you. I'm going to present the details also. So how the CSS essay is marked and the marking criteria of CSS essay, and these are being presented from a CSS examiner's point of view. The first and the foremost thing to remember in this marking procedure is that the CSS essay marking is split into four broad areas of assessment, chief among which is content, then language, the structure, and coherence. Some people believe that coherence is a part of language, whereas in FPSC, there is a very clear marking for the coherence being a separate area of assessment by itself. Since it's a thesis essay, CSS essay, 2,500 to 3,000 words, 3 hours to be written in the exam settings, the content as such is given 40% weightage, language 25%, structure 20%, and coherence 15%. You may say that these are the actual marks also. Later on in the essay marking rubric, you are going to watch that these are actually the marks which are split further into different categories. So a total of 100, out of which 40% is the passing percentage. Now this 40 is quite a magical figure for almost everybody related to CSS. There are thousands of people who are unable to achieve this magical figure of 40. So let's analyze these broad areas of assessment one by one. The purpose is for the aspirant to find out what are the actual areas which the examiners pay attention to and how much weightage do they have in CSS. And now I will explain each one of these assessment areas one by one with their own individual categories. For example, the content, what you also call the essay material, it includes the qualitative analysis of the material. What does the qualitative analysis mean? Qualitative and quantitative. These are basically the research terms, but this means that the evidence part of your essay, of your paragraphs, the references to the specific references which you have presented to support your argument, the evidence, the examples, the facts, the figures, and sometimes quotes also that you have presented. what is their qualitative value? Are they properly research based? Are they acquired through a proper research method? The quantitative value. Has the candidate used the proper research method to find out these figures and statistics? Qualitative is applied for the opinions and the textual material. The quantitative is the figures and statistics. And both of these are again evaluated against validity and reliability. Is this data valid? Maybe the candidate is giving a rather outdated data. Is it relevant? Is it reliable? What are the sources from which the candidate has gathered this material? So all those sources, the year from which this data comes, all these things are important as far as the material, the content which you are giving in the essay, in body paragraphs. And then the relevance also. How relevant is this material? Content, for example, sometimes people have memorized certain content and they try to fit it into any type of an essay topic. And without giving due consideration to the topic, whether this material is relevant to it or not, since they have it, they just try to put it there. So the examiner judges, assesses, evaluates how relevant the data is. Each one of these 4 broad areas have individual marks, out of which, for example, there are 10 marks for qualitative analysis, 10 for quantitative, 10 for validity, and you know the content has 40%, 10 for relevance. So out of 10, the examiner is going to mark the in the essay rubric for each and every category also. So this is the analysis of content of the essay. Next is the language. The sentence structure. How good a command does the candidate have on the sentence structure, on variety of sentence structures, not just one type of. What type of vocabulary is the candidate using? Is it high-strung sort of vocabulary which is not comprehensible to normal people, to average people, or is it the vocabulary which is something like obsolete, outdated? Because in the search for synonyms, sometimes people are giving vocabulary which is not current. So the examiner has a good eye for the current English language vocabulary. Clarity. Are the sentences clear, or are they just winding and they are unable to give any clear picture of what the candidate is trying to say? And then there is the command of language. How well does this candidate actually use language to express? The expression itself is a separate category. So these are the 5 broad areas of the language which are assessed for those 25 marks or 25% weightage in the essay. The sentence structure, vocabulary, clarity, command of language, expression. Please be careful about vocabulary. By vocabulary, we do not mean that the candidate uses such bombastic sort of or such flowery sort of vocabulary which is not in current English usage. The academic words list, the academic vocabulary is good enough because the emphasis is on expression and clarity rather than on the etymological knowledge of the candidate. Structure then has 4 broad areas. The outline itself, how well the outline is structured, how logically it is sequenced, the language of the outline, the uniformity of the outline structure, and then the introduction paragraph. How well the introduction paragraph has been crafted, its structure, its language again, introduction is evaluated separately, and then the body paragraph structure itself. Now there is just one introduction and one conclusion in the essay, but then there is a large number of paragraphs, something like 15 plus paragraphs in the essay. So what type of a paragraph structure does the candidate follow? Are there some paragraphs of just 2 sentences and others of 10 or 11 sentences, or is there a uniformity? Is there a variety of paragraph structure? And then the conclusion. How has the candidate concluded? So these 4 areas are structure basically. The content is evaluated separately, the language is evaluated separately, but these are the 4 broad areas of structure. Coherence, first of all, it is the logical sequence and progress of the essay. How do the ideas logically follow each other? That is the question. So is there a sequence, is there a logical sequence being followed in the progression of the paragraphs? How do the paragraphs transition? How are the paragraphs connected? Are they just numbered without any real knowledge about their function in the essay, or their placement in the essay, or their logical sequence? So the logical transitioning of the paragraphs, and then the cohesion also. How is the language? Is the language cohesive, or is it too segmented? So this basically decides coherence. The coherence decides the value of the language, and how well the candidate has been able to formulate his or her opinions, and how coherent it is, the expression is. So these are the 4 broad areas which I have very briefly tried to put here, so that the candidates know, the aspirants know, what are the main areas which are tested in a CSS essay, which are assessed or marked. There are many differences of opinion on this. I know in Pakistan there are different people believe in different things, but then there has to be some standard criteria. Without going into the source of all this information, suffice this to say that this is a standard marking procedure being followed for marking the CSS essays. And here is the final rubric form, which is used for the in content. The 40 marks of content are divided into 10 each, and then language 5 each, the structure 25 each, and coherence, cohesion is 5, and coherence itself, so total 100. And then they are whatever marks the total marks, and then the obtained marks, whatever marks are given by the examiner, and then added up to make a total. So these are the 4 broad areas of assessment. Now, as a final word, I would like to say that if you look at this rubric carefully, you will find out that it's not only the content that matters, but the skill of essay writing. As the syllabus itself points out, how well the candidate articulates or formulates and follows the CSS, the essay structure. So it is not just the content, but the skill of writing the essay which actually matters a lot. As I often say to the students, that essay is not a test of your knowledge. If it was the test of the knowledge, the content must have had something like 80% value. But it is the other areas also which make up a good essay in combination, in sync with each other. So go for the skill and not just the content. The skill of writing the essay and not just the content. Sometimes the students say that, sir, we wrote everything, we added every possible information on this topic. Whatever we knew, we wrote there. But then I ask them, did the examiner ask for all this information? The examiner must have given a topic which required a certain pattern of elaboration, of articulation of this this information or the content according to the points which you gave in the outline, in which you later on elaborated in the paragraphs. So it's how you use the content, the evidence to prove your point, along with the structure, the language, and coherence, is that what actually makes good CSS essays. Thank you very much.